Welcome everybody to week number 6 of Prospect Football Week, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. I'm here with Coach DeBuff. Thank you for joining us once again.
Excited to be here.
That's always a great thing. Hersey scored right out of the gate against you guys in that first quarter and had the momentum from the get-go. What did you say to your team to try to get them going?
We always talk about how we're going to battle through adversity, and I think we did. For a moment there, as you saw, we were down 20-0, and then scored 10 unanswered points, and it looked like we were going to be right back in the game going into halftime, and then we saw a little bit more adversity with the special team score.
Yeah, Hersey's two-quarterback system produced big numbers during the game. How difficult was it to contain those two quarterbacks with very different styles?
Yeah, I think that their coaching staff does a really good job of preparing their guys, and I think their program's in a really good place right now, and we're working to get to that level.
Yeah, you talked about it almost into halftime. It seemed like the momentum was heading in your direction with those 10 unanswered points, and then all of a sudden Vince Carson with a return for a touchdown. How did that change the approach at halftime?
I definitely think it took some momentum away from us. Unfortunately, for us to be right in that game, we did need some things to bounce our way, and it kind of seemed like things bounced the other way for us, unfortunately.
Yeah. How did you try to keep the football team positive in a game like this where it gets out of hand pretty quickly?
Yeah, our focus is always going to be on ourselves, and really going into this week, we talked a lot about getting back to focusing on ourselves and not letting outside circumstances kind of affect our attitude and our effort.
Yeah, what positives did you take out of that game?
We're learning how to compete through times of adversity. That's really been our big focus of how do you react when things don't go your way, and we're getting some opportunities to do that.
Absolutely. Do you think this is a beneficial loss for the team? Because I know that you lost earlier this year to Hoffman Estates, but a loss like this, do you think this is going to make the team better in the long run?
I don't think losing's ever a good thing.
No, it is not.
But going back to that same idea, same concept of, kind of what Mr. Nabo said earlier, trying to develop good young men, and sometimes in your life things don't go the way that you want them to, and it's really how you react to the situation more so than what actually happens to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach DeBuff, and then stay tuned for a special interview with defensive lineman Jack Friedrichs.
Welcome back to Prospect Football Weekly, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. I'm here with defensive lineman Jack Friedrich. Jack, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It wasn't the best game for the defensive side of the ball against Hersey. How did defensive coordinator Brock Collins try and keep you guys upbeat?
We knew Hersey was going to be a real good team coming into the week, but he really just tried to keep it, focus on what we do and, attack and stuff and not worry about the score.
What positives do you take out from the defensive performance?
Big thing we can take out is how we respond, how we come back in practice and respond and play a good game versus Meadows.
What are some of the improvements that the defense has made since that game on Friday night?
I feel like we're focusing a lot more on being physical. I feel like in Hersey we got out physical a little bit and adjusting the practices a little bit to try to fix that.
Absolutely. How do you think you and the rest of this young defensive line has improved since the start of the season?
A lot of us last year this is our first year playing D-line. A lot of us came from linebacker.
Right.
So I feel like we're just, learning the technique and what to do, and the coach has done a real good job helping us learn that.
Absolutely. Last year, like you said, you played some offense as well. Now it's pretty much exclusively defense for you. How do you think this transition has gone?
I feel like it's been pretty good so far. We've had a lot of people step up. Luke Zardzin coming in at running back, so that really helps us. So me and Michael Shaffis can focus more on defense too.
Absolutely. That's all we have for Jack Friedrich. Stay tuned with a special interview with freshman coach Nabo. Welcome back to Prospect Football Weekly, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. I'm here with freshman coach Nabo. Coach, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You're a new face to the Prospect football program. Can you tell a little bit about where you came from and your past coaching experience?
Yeah, it's exciting to be here. Excited to be here my first year at Prospect and working with Coach DeBuff and his staff. Prior to this, I was at Glenbrook North High School, where I coached for about 5 years.
Okay.
I was coaching offensive line, defensive line, and kind of at multiple different levels. And prior to that, I was finishing up my playing career at the University of Illinois, where I played offensive line and tight end. So.
Wow. The freshman team has started 5-0. How much have they improved since the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I think we've made a lot of improvements. Obviously, the record's great. Being undefeated is always a good feeling. But I think the biggest thing that we try to emphasize with our kids is that we're building them not just for freshman football. They're not hanging any banners for freshman conference championships. So we're kind of trying to develop them for when they get up to Coach DeBuff and they get up to that varsity level. And I think the biggest thing is continuing to improve week in and week out fundamentals, but also just building them up as young men.
Absolutely. Did you expect a start like this coming into the season?
Well, this is my first year coaching freshmen, so I think I didn't really know what to expect.
Right.
I think obviously, when you're with the upper levels, you could always look back at some film. You can kind of get an idea, but with freshmen, I think you think you have a good team,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we have some good skill kids and some players at some key positions. But I think I didn't really know what to expect until the season really got rolling.
Absolutely. Who have been some of those key contributors so far this season?
Yeah, we've had a bunch. I think on the offensive side of the ball, Matt Reitano, Peyton Berg, Charlie Carroll. On the defensive side of the ball, Jacob Greshik's really been a leader for us at linebacker. Sam Segalis and Chandler Dorado have been great at the defensive line position. So I think we have a lot of guys that are really contributing and helping us out.
Absolutely. With some experienced members on your coaching staff, like assistant coaches Tom Whalen and Dominic Cannon, how have they helped you transition into the program?
Yeah, I mean they've been everything for me. So obviously this is my first year here at Prospect. They've been here for a long time.
Right.
They kind of know the way things work around here. But they've also been here through some really great times.
Right.
And I was in high school when Prospect was winning all those state championships, and these guys were here coaching. So I think just having them be around that and knowing the success that can be achieved here
Absolutely.
has been huge as we're kind of trying to lay the building blocks at our level.
Absolutely.
With our young guys. So they've been everything. They've been tremendously helpful, and I just owe them a big debt of gratitude because they've been huge for me. So.
Without a doubt. How closely do you and Coach DeBuff work with the varsity squad?
Yeah, I think that's one of the greatest things Coach DeBuff has done since he came in here. We worked together with them, freshman varsity working together all summer long, and I think just kind of building that camaraderie, building that foundation of relationships. And I think football, a lot of people look at X's and O's, a lot of people look at obviously wins and losses, but I think the relationships that you're building week in and week out play a huge role in your success. And I think just having our freshmen working with the varsity and kind of seeing the level of competitiveness that they have, and, the speed and obviously the physicality is such a big jump. I think it's kind of important that our kids see that.
Right.
And Coach DeBuff's done a great job of implementing us into their practices.
Right, absolutely. That's all we have for Coach Nabo. Stay tuned to preview this week's game against Rolling Meadows with head coach Dan DeBuff.
Welcome back, everybody, to Prospect Football Weekly, week number 6, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. Coach DeBuff has so graciously joined me once again. Thank you for rejoining me.
You got it. Week 6 going fast.
I know, it's coming up. Rolling Meadows probably has the most experience out of all the teams you faced this year. How do you think you'll match up with them this week?
Yeah, I mean, they're big, they're physical up front. We know it's going to be a really tough challenge, and I think they're a really tough team.
Absolutely. Rolling Meadows is a really good run offense led by Tim Sislak. How hard do you think it's going to be to get him down, and how important will it be to wrap him up this week compared to your game last week against Hersey?
Yeah, I think it's getting back to being physical and doing the small things right, like tackling, blocking, the basics. So we're really getting back to the basics this week in practice.
Absolutely. Protecting Sislak will be their huge offensive line. How essential will it be to apply pressure and not give their offense so much time to make plays?
Yeah, definitely. I think our defensive coordinator, Coach Collins, is going to do a great job preparing our defense to attack. As you know from last week.
Oh, yes.
Attack is
swarm,
his
defend.
Thing. I think he's doing a good job with that, and I think he'll get those guys ready with a good game plan, and we'll see what we can do.
We've talked about the Mustang offense so far, but their defense is also a really good unit as well. How have you tried to improve this week in practice so that you can put up some points against a really tough Rolling Meadow defense?
Yeah, like I kind of said before, we're really taking the focus off of our opponent. Now, obviously, we're going to do our game plan against them and focus on those things, but we're really going to get back to focusing on ourselves and how we can improve on a daily basis.
I know we're only in week 6, but the team is 3-2. Half of the remaining 4 games are going to be on the road. How crucial are these games to win? And if you don't, try and make something positive out of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're right in the hunt for a playoff berth right now, so this is a really exciting time to be a Knight football fan. If you look at our remaining schedule and kind of where we're at, sitting at 3-2, we have a really good opportunity in front of us to get a couple wins here and first playoff berth in over 6 years. So that would be a really big step for our program.
That would be huge. It's going to be a homecoming game for Rolling Meadows. How electric of an atmosphere are you expecting, and how tough will it be to communicate with each other knowing how loud that crowd gets?
Yeah, and I think week to week we're always going to have a good crowd, whether it's home or away, especially once we get into conference with some of these close schools. It just makes it fun. That's what makes high school football so awesome, is the student bodies getting after each other and having some fun.
Thank you, Coach DeBuff, and stay tuned for next week where we'll preview the Week 7 game at Buffalo Grove. We'll see you next week.